Well, let's talk a little bit more about one of the top stories that we're tracking. I said earlier, the Africa Middle East Regional Committee begins its two-day meeting in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates today. I'm being joined now on the program by the chair of the committee, who is also the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Munir Gwazo. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Harriet.
Now, this year's meeting will focus, among other things, on emerging risks within the region. What are the key areas of concern for you as the chairman of the group?
Thank you very much, Harriet. The key area of concern is some of these virtual or bitcoins, some of these internet schemes, the Ponzi schemes, and it looks like every jurisdiction is also very much concerned about it. So we spend a lot of time today discussing about those kind of things, and the conclusion is we need to, as much as possible, collaborate and share information within various jurisdictions.
All right. So Bitcoin is seriously on the rise. And I remember that the Securities and Exchange Commission actually sent out a statement warning Nigerians about this particular trend that seems to be catching on here in Nigeria. So is the Commission going to come up with, for instance, regulations to guide those investors who want to be in this particular segment of the market, because it is a trend, a global trend that is fast catching on?
I think it's difficult to come up with any regulations other than to continue to inform the public that any scheme that is not registered by SEC or any of the regulatory organization, those schemes, in our opinion, are not the kind of schemes that investors should invest in. That's the best we can do, and we've been sending public enlightenment programs. We have also discussed today what are the sort of measures should we take, and the consensus at the meeting also seems to be relating to public enlightenment program, because some of those schemes you can't even see them. They're in the cloud. You don't know who they are. You don't know who are promoting them, and I think central bank would also do a lot in terms of tracking how these payments are being made. We don't have access to those kind of portal, but I believe CBN should be able to trace those kind of accounts that such monies have been paid into, and who are the owners of those accounts. So those are the issues that we discussed today.
So talk to us a little bit more about risk-based supervision, which is, of course, in line with the Nigerian capital markets, a recent move. And you talked about it very recently. And I know that that's also featured very prominently in conversations at this particular meeting.
Yes, we also shared at the meeting today in terms of looking at the emerging risk that some of the things we're doing, like you rightly said, we have developed a very robust risk-based supervision manual based on the ISCO principles. And the Deputy Secretary of ISCO was very happy that we're able to come up with the manual. I think we're the only jurisdictions in the AMERC region that was able to come up with that. We also informed the meeting on our inspection manual with respect to the financially important financial institutions, which basically look at firms that are quite big and have multiple functions. And so the essence of the manual is to look at them and concentrate more on them, given their size, given their importance, given the fact that if they run into any problem, there's going to be a contagious effect. There's going to be a multiplier effect on either the other firms that they operate with, or even the investors or the customers and what have you. So we also share that with them, and members from other jurisdictions were again very pleased that we had gone extra mile to come up with that manual. ISCO has also alluded to the fact that they are also developing a more advanced inspection manual, so more advanced with the one that, based on the one that we have, so that, the market is well policed.
So, Mr. Gwazo, as we wrap up first quarter of 2017, what are the other priorities of the committee for the rest of the year? We've got 3 more quarters to go.
Apart from the risk base, there's a lot in terms of training program that ISCO has come up with. Apart from the global certificate program that we had last year, the hub that is going to start operating in Malaysia will kickstart in March. There are also other toolkits 2 years ago, ISCO developed a toolkit training program where in your office you can train yourself on any of the modules. ISCO came up with 5 modules which the toolkit can provide you with the opportunity for training program. They also inform us today that they are coming out with other toolkits. Toolkit relating to enforcement, toolkit relating to investor education and financial inclusion. We also discussed the whole essence of investor education and financial inclusion, and we shared with them what we're doing at SEC in Nigeria in terms of working in collaboration with the National Educational Resource Development Center by inculcating the content of the capital market studies both at primary school and secondary school. In fact, yesterday it was launched in Abuja. Various stakeholders were invited to come up with the content of that curriculum. And in the next 2 weeks, it will also be launched in Lagos, which God's willing, I'll also be there. The whole essence is to ensure that the studies of capital market is inculcated, at a very low level, at the primary and secondary school level. We believe that will be part of the investor education and also the financial inclusion that we require in the country.
Munir Gwazo, Chair of the Africa Middle East Regional Committee and Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Many thanks for joining us on the program today and, of course, giving us a sense of what was discussed at this meeting. Enjoy the rest of the meeting and, of course, we'll keep our eye on developments there as well. So let's continue our focus on commodities and talk a little bit about how the energy stocks we track here on the program finished off on Monday at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We'll be focusing on the power sector in just a bit with Kayode Omoshebi, who is an investment analyst with ARM Securities. So starting off from the equities side, yesterday we noticed that only Forte Oil and Seplat recorded any green movement. Investors still booking profit very heavily off most of the oil and gas stocks and indeed most of the major heavies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. No movement on corn oil. Forte Oil, as I said, finished 0.24% up at 54 Naira with about 379,571 units exchanged by investors. Mobile didn't have any change, but 6,660 units were exchanged. That finished, the equity finished at 275 Naira 99 kobo. For MRS, 21,145 units were exchanged by investors. We keep seeing movement on that particular equity, but not enough to push it either to the north or the south. It finished at 39 Naira 3 kobo. It's dropped below 40 Naira. Owando was off 3.09%. Seplat was up 1.33%. And Total finished at 270 Naira at the end of Monday's trade. Daily index came in at plus 0.21%. Year to date is at minus 8.6%. Business Morning continues in just a moment. Stay with us.